The locals always said the Harrington House was dead long before anyone inside it ever was. The name stuck. House of Dead, whispered by kids daring each other to touch the rusted iron gate, muttered by adults who crossed the street rather than walk in its shadow. But on the night Evan Mercer arrived, the house felt like it had been waiting for him, like it recognized him. Evan wasn't the type who believed in ghost stories. He was a freelance documentary filmmaker, the kind who prided himself on debunking myths for cheap YouTube clicks. The Harrington House was supposed to be another easy project. A weekend of filming, a few creepy shots, a fabricated sighting, and home. But the moment he stepped onto the broken porch, something inside the darkness shifted like a person turning toward him. He felt it before he heard anything. A cold awareness brushing against his spine. Still, he pushed the front door open. The house breathed out stale air, warm and rotten, like something had been festering behind the walls for decades. His flashlight stretched the shadows long and narrow across the floorboards. Perfect, he muttered into his recorder. This place looks like death. A whisper drifted behind him. Then, spun around. The beam of his flashlight cut through empty air. No wind, no movement, just silence settling back into place like a blanket. He shook it off and kept walking. The interior looked like a family had left mid-dinner 50 years ago. Plates on the table, a child's shoes near the stairs, a cracked doll slumped on the couch with its porcelain face split clean down the middle. But everything was coated in a thick layer of dust, except for a single set of footprints leading deeper into the hallway. They weren't his. He crouched down, studying, filming everything. The footprints were small, barefoot and possibly fresh. Okay, he whispered, trying to steady his voice. Good for the video. A soft tapping echoed from upstairs. Tap. Tap, tap. In slow, deliberate rhythm, like someone walking with careful, dragging steps. Evan lifted his camera, letting it record the creaking ceiling. Tap, tap. Then silence. A sudden chill swept down the staircase, pushing stale air past him. His breath fogged in front of his lips, even though the house had been suffocatingly warm minutes earlier. He climbed the stairs, one creaking step at a time. Each step groaned under his weight, but something else moved to another lighter footstep between his own, perfectly synchronized. By the time he reached the top, the hallway was darker than it should have been. The shadows didn't sit still. They swayed gently, pulsing like they were alive. Something shifted at the far end. A small figure stood near a partially open door, bare feet. White nightgown. Head bowed, hair hanging like a curtain. Evan froze. The girl didn't move, didn't speak. His flashlight flickered. When it stabilized, she was gone. But the door beside her creaked wider on its own. Evan swallowed hard and stepped forward, raising the camera. Inside the room was a child's bedroom, untouched by time except a woman stood in the far corner, facing the wall. Long, tangled hair, thin frame. Her shoulders trembled as if she were crying silently. Hello, Evan whispered. The woman's head twisted, not turned, twisted toward him without her body moving. Her face was pale, hollow, and stretched into a smile far too wide to be human. Evan stumbled back, slamming into the doorframe as the woman's neck continued twisting, bones cracking like dry branches until her face fully aligned with him. Her hollow eyes were wide and wet, reflecting his trembling flashlight beam. The smile didn't move, but her jaw shivered like someone forcing her to grin. You came back. The room grew colder. Frost crawled across the windows, encasing them in seconds. Evan exhaled clouds of white fog. His heart hammered so violently it sounded like footsteps in his ears. I don't know you, he managed. Her smile stretched higher, skin thinning until the corners of her mouth split. Blood thick, dark, almost tar-lick dripped onto her nightgown. You left us here. She lunged. Evan dove to the side, rolling across the dusty floor as her hand slammed into the spot where he had stood. The wood splintered beneath her palms, as if she carried the weight of a falling building. He scrambled out of the room, grabbing the doorknob and yanking it shut. Something crashed against the other side immediately first once, then again each, hit shaking the entire frame. He sprinted down the hall, not daring to look back. His flashlight flickered violently. The house moaned around him, walls expanding and contracting like a giant chest breathing in the dark. He reached the top of the stairs but froze. The little girl from earlier stood at the bottom step. Her nightgown looked soaked now, sticking to her skin. Her head bent sideways at an unnatural angle, as if her neck had been snapped long ago. She raised one hand slowly, pointing directly at him. Her lips moved silently. Evan couldn't hear her, but he understood. She was telling him not to run. The upstairs door behind him exploded open. The woman's scream tore through the house a raw, guttural wail like metal being dragged across stone. Evan bolted down the stairs. The girl vanished as he passed her, dissolving into cold mist that wrapped briefly around his ankles like fingers. He reached the foyer, grabbing the front doorknob and twisting hard. Locked. He shoved his shoulder against it. The door didn't budge. The house groaned louder, as if mocking him. From the hallway behind him, slow footsteps approached. Heavy, wet. Each step left a dark print, spreading outward like ink on paper. "Please," Evan whispered, gripping the handle so hard his knuckles whitened. "Let me go." The footsteps stopped right behind him. A cold breath brushed the back of his neck. "You're home." Evan turned and saw not one ghost, but dozens. Men, women, children, all pale, all broken. Their bodies twisted, collapsed, dangling unnaturally as if held up by invisible strings. Eyes black and endless. Faces frozen in the moment of their deaths. They stared without blinking. Then, together, every head snapped upward toward the ceiling, searching, listening, waiting. The entire house went silent. Silent so silent Evan could hear his own pulse shaking inside his skull. The ghost's head stayed tilted toward the ceiling, bodies motionless, as if they were listening for something only the dead could hear. Evan didn't dare breathe. He pressed himself against the front door, gripping the doorknob with trembling fingers. A sound rose above them, a slow, dragging scrape. It came from the attic. The ghosts reacted instantly. Every head jerked downward toward Evan. Dozens of black, empty eyes locked onto him at once. The air vanished from his lungs. His flashlight sputtered, then died completely. Only the dim moonlight leaking through the cracked windows allowed him to see their silhouettes. One of the ghosts, a tall man, in a torn suit, with a rope still around his neck, stepped forward. His voice was a strained whisper, like breath passing through wet cloth. "She's coming." Evan's throat tightened. "Who?" The man didn't answer. None of them did. Their heads turned not toward Evan this time, but toward the staircase leading up to the attic. The dragging sound grew louder, closer, heavy, uneven, wet. The rope-necked man drifted backward into the crowd of ghosts, vanishing into them like smoke. More footsteps thudded above the ceiling, slow at first, then faster, as though something massive had begun moving toward the stairs. Every ghost stepped aside, clearing a path from the attic door straight down to the foyer. Evan realized they weren't gathering to hurt him. They were preparing for her. The attic door creaked open with the groan of rotting wood. Evan's chest tightened as darkness even deeper than the rest of the house bored down the staircase like spilled ink. A hand emerged first. Long, thin, skin gray, and stretched tight over bone like wet paper. Fingernails broken and cracked, scraping grooves into the walls as it descended step by step. Then came her face. It wasn't a face anymore, just a hollow, skull-shaped void, surrounded by tangled, dripping black hair. Her jaw hung loose, swinging with each step. Her eyes were empty pits, leaking black fluid that streamed down her chin and fell in heavy drops onto the stairs. Every ghost in the foyer bowed their heads. The woman continued descending, joints popping with every movement. as though her bones no longer fit right inside her body. Evan backed away until his spine hit the door again. "Stay away," he whispered. "Please don't." The woman stopped at the bottom of the stairs, her head tilted just slightly, as if studying him. The black liquid streaming from her eye sockets pooled at her feet. Then she spoke. Her voice wasn't a whisper or a growl. It was the sound of countless voices layered together, crying, screaming, begging. "You left me to die." Evan's stomach dropped. He shook his head violently. "No, I've never seen you. I don't know who you are." A sudden force slammed into his chest, pinning him to the door. The ghosts didn't move. They stood like witnesses to a ritual. The woman stepped forward, hand rising. "You don't remember." Her finger touched his forehead. A blast of pain ripped through him white. Blinding, violent. Images flashed behind his eyes in rapid bursts. Flames, screaming, a baby crying, someone pounding against a locked door, a woman's voice begging, "Please, Evan, please don't leave me." He collapsed to his knees, gasping. Memory or hallucination, he couldn't tell. The attic woman loomed over him. "You were ours." And then she bent down, reaching for him. Her fingers brushed Evan's cheek, and the temperature around him dropped so violently he felt his skin tighten, his lips crack. Frost crept across the walls, across the floor, across his own boots. Every ghost in the room leaned forward slightly, as if anticipating the moment she would claim him. Evan forced himself to look up at her. His vision swam. Pain pulsed through his head as the fragments of memory or whatever they were kept replaying. Fire, smoke, a woman's scream. A small child's hand clawing at a locked door. His name echoing through the flames. "No," he whispered hoarsely. "That wasn't me. I didn't do that. I don't know you." The woman's jaw twitched, hanging crookedly as she stepped nearer. Her face hovered inches above his. The black fluid dripping from her eye socket spattered his shoulder, burning cold like acid. Her hair swung down, brushing the floor like a shroud. "You will." She grabbed his wrist. Evan felt himself yanked upward, his body lifted effortlessly off the ground as though gravity no longer applied. His feet dangled inches above the floorboards. The ghosts circled tighter, their shapes blurring and stretching in the swirling cold. Then she dragged him toward the stairs. No, Evan clawed at the banister, at anything he could grab, but her grip was iron. His nails scraped uselessly against the wood as she pulled him up step by step. As he was lifted higher, flashes of memory surged, harder sharpened until they felt like knives inside his skull. A burning living room, smoke choking the air, a young woman pounding on a locked door, screaming his name, a baby's cries turning thin and desperate. His own hands pushing the door closed, his own voice whispering, "I'm sorry." Evan screamed, "No, that's not real." "I didn't. I never." The woman stopped halfway up the stairs, her head twisted toward him, almost gently. "The house remembers." Behind her, the attic door swung wider on its own, revealing nothing but swirling blackness inside like the entrance to a void. Tendrils of darkness drifted from it, stretching toward them like welcoming arms. The ghosts followed in silence, filling the staircase and hallway. Their bodies shifted like shadows bleeding into one another. The attic woman pulled him closer to the threshold. Evan thrashed helplessly. "Please, please don't put me in there." "I'm not one of you." Her voice poured over him like ice water. "But you are. You were born here. You died here. You left us here." Evan froze. The world tilted. His breath caught in his throat. "I died." The ghosts whispered together in a single, unified breath. "We all did." The woman's hand flattened against his chest. A violent cold ripped through him deep, hollow, final. His heart stopped. Evan gasped, but no air came. His vision bleached white. His limbs went numb. He felt his body crumple, fall, but it made no sound when it hit the floor. He realized he was standing, but his body was still lying at the woman's feet. The ghosts slowly turned toward the newest one. The attic woman smiled, her mouth stretching impossibly wide. "Welcome home." The attic swallowed his corpse. The house exhaled. The door finally unlocked, but no one was left alive to open it, and the house of dead waited silent, patient, for the next visitor who thought ghosts were only stories.